dear students, welcome back to the class once again. So today, as usual, I have already told you in advance that we are going to start with history. So our topic is the beginning of the modern world. So before I teach you about or give you the idea about the modern world, I would like to tell you about the classifications of history. In almost all the countries of the world, history is divided into or classified into three parts, that is ancient history, medieval history and modern history. So if we talk about our history, in short, I would like to tell you that our ancient history deals with Harappan civilization, Aryans and all, then Mauryan age, Gupta period and all. Okay, then in the medieval period it starts with 1206 with the establishment of Delhi Sultanate by Muhammad Ghori and all, and it continues, and then in 1526 Mughal rule is established, and this Mughal rule continues till 1557. But with the coming of East India Company in our country, the modern period starts. With the coming of East India Company in our country, and after that a modern era starts in our country, and the modern period completely is filled with our national movement and all. So this is all about three classifications of history: ancient history, medieval history and then modern history. In class 6 you studied ancient history, in class 7 you studied medieval history, and in class 8 you studied modern history. So that is all. Now, as you know that we are going to discuss about the beginning of the modern world, so definitely we need to understand that historical periods differ from country to country. Okay, it depends upon the stage of development. It depends from country to country on the stage of development of that region. So in Europe, the modern age started in the 15th century. In Europe, it started in which century? 15th century. Modern age started in the 15th century. So we are in the 21st century. So that modern age started in 15th century. Okay, and then in India, if you talk about India, in India, however, the modern age is generally regarded as having begun in the mid 18th century. So as I told you, with the coming of East India Company and all. Okay, so the major turning point and the transition from medieval to modern age was the conquest of India by the British. When the Britishers conquered territories of India, so that was a transition from the medieval to the modern. So medieval period, Sultanate period, Mughal rule going on, and within the Mughal rule, during the time of Mughals, the Britishers, East India Company came, took the permission to trade in India, and slowly and gradually, when they saw the decline of Mughal Empire, they got the opportunity to conquer the territory. So that was a transition phase of medieval to the modern in our country. Now let us discuss some of the characteristic features of the modern age. Some of the characteristics. What are the features? Accordingly, we can understand that we are in a modern world. Suppose, for example, a person living in a village, he can also be a modern man. A person living in cities and towns, he can also be a modern man. Okay, but what actually is modernization? What actually are the features which make the world modern? So some of the features are given over here. The first one is urbanization. Urbanization, towns and cities. Urban means towns. People started living in towns and cities with a very lavish life, with all the standard of living growing high day by day. So mostly you see in almost all the countries of the world, people prefer to live in cities and towns where all the facilities are there for them. The next one we have is democratic institution. Democratic institution, what it is? Democratic institutions. So democratic institutions means that in almost all the countries of the world, democracy is established. rule by the people. The people opinion matters a lot in running the country. Democratic institutions are there everywhere. People's opinion matters a lot in running the administration, if it is a local administration or a state administration. Everywhere the involvement of the citizens are seen. So democratic institutions are established almost in all the countries of the world except few. India is a democratic country, you see. Each and every things are decided by the people of the country, right? So in the same way, in almost all the modern countries of the world, democratic institutions are there. Now number three features. The third characteristic features of modern age is technological advancement. Technological. Technological advancement. So, you know that industrial revolution started in England and slowly and gradually spread to different parts of the world. The domestic system of production was there. Productions were done at home. Then later on, with the growth of population, what happened? People's demand increases. Domestic system could not fulfill the demands of the people. So, factory system started. Factories were set up. Machines were set up. So, with that, lots and lots of quantities of goods started to be produced. So industrial technological advancement, steam engine was invented. In same way, many more machines were invented in the field of textiles, and that made everything modernized and all. Today you see we have electronic gadgets, we have mobile phones, tablets and all. We have watches which shows you the direction. So lot of advancement we see today, and it has become possible due to the inventions of the scientists who had given time in inventing new gadgets for making the world more and more interesting. So lots and lots of things are happening in the world, and that is adding lifestyle, that is adding a color in our life. So in the field of technology, it is getting advanced day by day. Okay. Then next one we have is fundamental civil liberties. Fundamental. So definitely when we talk about fundamental civil liberties, so definitely when we talk about democratic institution, then democratic institution definitely will provide civil liberties. They'll provide civil liberties to the people, freedoms to the people. So that is there. So if you want to make people live their life freely, then they must be given freedom, which can help them to lead a dignified life, and they can use their opinion, they can use their time inventing new things for the country. Whoever does the invention, they never do it for themselves, they do it for the country, for the world. So whoever invented the bulb, he did not invent the bulb to make his room bright. He has done for the world. So invention takes place, and that must be patronized, they must be provided help. So for that, government must be very, very strong and stable to promote scientific discoveries and all. Okay, and with that, for making progress in the field of science and all, to make the people free from all sort of bondages, then they must be given fundamental freedoms. Fundamental means basic civil liberties. Civil means people, civilians, liberties means freedom. Okay, now next one is industrialization. Next one we have is industrialization. So first one urbanization, second one democratic institution, number 3 technological advancement, number 4 fundamental civil liberties. Now number 5, let me tell you. Now number 5 is industrialization. Okay. Industrialization. Trialization. Industrialization. So definitely industries are very, very important, because industries produces the goods required by the people either living in a cities or towns. So industries must be promoted. So major industry, there are two types of industries. That means primary industries. Primary industries are heavy industries, iron ore, heavy steel and all, and other primary. Apart from that, other small scale industries are there. So industries are of various categories that we are not going to discuss about it. So industries produces goods, so that help us to make our life, the things or the goods used by us in our daily life are produced in the industry. So that is also the most important feature of a modern age. Now number six. Now let me tell you number six. Number six, okay, both I'll write it, then I'll explain you. Number six, number seven. Number six we have then number 8 we have humanism. So rationalism and humanism. We have rationalism and humanism. So I have given over here, you can go through it. Rationalism. Rationalism is a philosophy or belief that all behavior, opinions, etc. should be based on reason rather than on emotions or religious belief. Then another one we have humanism. Humanism is a system of thought that considers that solving human problems with the help of reason is more important than religious belief. It emphasizes that the fact that the basic nature of humans is good. Human is good. That means humanism means problems of the people should be solved with reason, not on the basis of religion. Okay, reason is more important than religion. So that is what I meant to say. So these are some of the important characteristic features of modern age. So once again, let me tell you some of the characteristic features of modern age. Number 1, urbanization, democratic institutions, technological advancement, okay, fundamental civil liberties, industrialization, and the last two, rationalism and humanism. So these are some of the most important characteristic features of the modern age. Okay. Now let us discuss about. Now in order to construct history, we need to go through the sources. Without sources, we cannot construct any phases of history. So the sources for our modern world. So let me tell you the first important sources, source material. Source material. So the first one is number 1, primary sources. So primary sources. So I have given over there primary sources. What does primary source include? Many of the primary sources of the modern period have been preserved in archives. Okay. Museums, and they include, so it is given over here, you can go through it. It include original documents such as official records, then literary works such as accounts of European residents, visitors and Indian officials, novels, plays, short stories and poems by British and Indian authors of that period. Number 3, historical works of contemporary historians. Artistic works like paintings, sketches, engravings and drawings, photographs, audio cassettes, films and videotapes of incidents and interviews of important personalities, newspapers in both English and Indian languages, archaeological remains such as monuments and artifacts, than oral history. So just for your reference, I have given you the small clip. So that is there. So these are the sources. These are literary sources written. some of primary source include literary as well as archaeological sources are there. So literary works are there. European residents, when they when they stayed here, during their stay, they wrote certain journals and records in their diaries. Okay. Then visitors who came to India, they also had a record about our country or any of the other countries. Nowadays, when we go to any other country, or suppose for example during summer vacation, so right now not possible, but during summer vacation when you go to Simla, Mussoorie, Delhi or any other places, we carry cameras. We carry mobile phones, cameras and all. Whichever places we go, we shoot the pictures. Okay, that way we keep a memory. But during those time, whoever visited the places, they recorded in diaries. The places, they described the scene, described the place of their visit in a very proper way, in a very artistic way, and those are recorded, and that help us to know about it. Like a Babarnama. Babarnama records help us to construct Mughal history in the same way. Lots and lots of literary sources are there all over the world. And that help us to make us understand. Like Arthashastra. Arthashastra was written by Vishnu Gupta. Indica was written by Megasthenes. So those Indica and Arthashastra help us to reconstruct the Mauryan period. Okay, so these are very, very helpful. Artistic works like paintings are there, sketches, engravings and drawings, as I told you. Okay. Now the next one we have is number 2. We have is secondary sources. What is this? Secondary sources. This is C. Secondary sources. So secondary sources. So once again, a clip I have given over here so that you can, while I read it, you can go through that. Secondary sources. Secondary sources include books, reviews, reports, and articles written by historians and scholars who study and research primary resource material, interpret evidence, and arrive at conclusions. So they read the primary source and they come to the conclusion. Okay, since the modern age in India began with the advent of British rule, the roots of transition from medieval period must be traced back to Europe. So to understand the impact of British rule on Indian history, it is imperative to understand the changes that were taking place in Europe. So whatever changes were taking place in Europe, their reflection was over India. So whatever changes were taking, suppose Industrial Revolution was taking place and the result and the effect was seen in India. India was converted into a agricultural economy. Trade and industry was completely destroyed. So with the coming of Britishers in our country, East India Company, the Indians lost their livelihood. Otherwise, the Indian cotton was very, very famous all over the world. And this Europeans were attracted due to textiles, spice and all. But later on, all this was completely stopped. So this is all about the sources we discussed today. So today we discuss about some of the important characteristic features of the modern period. Then we discuss about source materials, primary sources, and then next one we discuss about is secondary sources. So these are the sources which help us to know more about the modern period or a period which belongs to any time. It can be ancient history, modern history, or medieval history. It's not possible without sources. The sources can be of two types: literary sources as well as archaeological sources and monuments. Okay. Now, in the next class, we'll discuss about some of the important facts of this chapter, like the Renaissance period. Then we'll discuss about the effects of Renaissance, which led to discoveries and voyages. Then we'll discuss about Reformation. Then we will discuss about Industrial Revolution as well. Okay, we'll discuss about Industrial Revolution as well. So it is some sort of a lengthy chapter, but I'll try to make it more and more simpler. Okay, so you have understood what I taught today. Though I taught in a very short way today, otherwise most of my videos are very long. So in order to make you little relaxed, I have made this video very, very short. So hopefully we have done it. And side by side we have decided to conduct online tests and all. So please participate in the online test. You'll enjoy it definitely, which will boost of your knowledge as well as your understanding level will also increase, and you will enter into the use of technologies like mobile phones, then emails. Okay, as you are going to YouTube channels and all, now you can also create your own channels and all. You can email, how to make an email ID, how to write letters through email and all, how to reply. So all these things will come across during this period and all. So it will help you a lot. Okay children, so we'll meet again in next class. Till then, take care. Bye bye.